My name is Claire, and at 66 years old, I thought I had left love behind, resigned to the notion that my heart would never again flutter with the reckless abandon of youth. But when Jake, a 20-year-old, fresh-faced and full of dreams, moved in next door, everything changed. He was a constant reminder of everything I once was, and everything I still longed to feel. Little did I know that our worlds were destined to collide, igniting a passion that would transform our lives forever. It was early spring when the sun began to cast warm golden rays that melted away the remnants of winter. I stood in my garden, pruning my beloved roses with care, the sweet scent filling the air, wrapping me in nostalgia for days gone by. Spring always felt like a new beginning, and I enjoyed each moment amidst the vibrant blooms. Just as I was lost in thought, a commotion from the house next door pulled me from my reverie. I glanced up to see a young man unloading boxes from an old sedan, his movements vigorous and animated, a whirlwind of youthful energy. "Need some help?" I called out, unable to resist the urge to engage with the new neighbor. It was a spontaneous decision, but something about his energy sparked a flicker of excitement within me. His head snapped up, revealing bright blue eyes that sparkled with youthful mischief. "Just getting settled in. I'm Jake." He beamed back at me, his smile contagious, igniting an unexpected flutter in my chest. Were all young men this vibrant? The thought felt absurd, yet it clung to me, banishing the shadows of my solitude. "I'm Claire." I introduced myself, feeling a bit flustered under his gaze. I waved and he waved back. Simple gestures, but they felt loaded with promise. As I returned to my pruning, I was acutely aware of the bright, fresh-faced boy next door, whose presence lingered in my mind long after he awakened. A part of me I thought had faded forever. Days turned into weeks, and Jake became a fixture in my thoughts and daily routines. I observed him often, whether he was skateboarding, working on his bike, or simply enjoying the sunshine. He radiated a carefree spirit that was utterly intoxicating. I found myself curious about him, what motivated him, what dreams he held close to his heart. My curiosity deepened, and I found myself seeking excuses to talk to him. One particularly warm Sunday morning, I noticed him struggling with a bicycle tire, the frustration etched on his brow as he tugged at the stubborn rubber. It was an involuntary urge to help that propelled me across the yard toward him. "Do you need a hand?" I called out, creating an opening before he could even respond. "Would you mind?" "I've never been good with this stuff," he admitted sheepishly, scratching his head, his youthful charm disarming me further. Kneeling beside him, I felt a giddy thrill in our proximity. His hands were clumsy, but eager to learn. We spent the afternoon laughing and struggling together, and it felt oddly normal and yet exhilarating to be doing this with someone so much younger. I found myself smiling more than I had in years. "Thanks for the help, Claire," he said, handing me a cold drink afterward, his eyes sparkling. "You make this seem easy." "It's just practice. Anyone can do it with enough time," I replied. But I felt an unmistakable connection rooted in our shared laughter, a burgeoning kinship that I had not anticipated. Something about Jake made me feel alive again, as if I were rediscovering parts of myself long buried under layers of routine and resignation. Our interactions grew more frequent. The barriers of age and experience began to dissolve. With each exchange, our conversations became longer, brimming with shared interests and laughter. I found it so easy to talk to him, as if we had known each other forever. One afternoon, we found ourselves sitting on my porch, the sun setting behind us, casting warm hues of orange and pink across the horizon. The world around us faded, and it felt as if we were in our private universe. "Where did you grow up, Jake?" I asked, genuinely intrigued, wanting to know more about the boy who had slipped into my life so seamlessly. He leaned back, seemingly lost in thought, watching the clouds drift. "A small town a few hours from here." It was okay. But I always wanted to be somewhere lively, somewhere art and culture matter. Art, you say? My interest piqued. What kind? Mostly painting, he replied, and his enthusiasm was palpable. I love the way it lets you express emotions without using words. It's like breathing to me. I used to paint a lot, I confessed, surprised at my vulnerability spilling forth. Life got in the way, I suppose. I haven't picked up a brush in years. You should pick it up again. I'd love to see your work, he said, his face lighting up with a spark of excitement that made my heart flutter. At that moment, I realized that Jake saw me as more than just a neighbor. He recognized the potential within me, something that had remained dormant for far too long. As weeks faded into a blur of shared moments and laughter, our friendship deepened into something rich with unspoken energy. I caught glimpses of longing in his eyes, and I could feel a magnetic pull between us, a simmering chemistry that was both innocent and imbued with desire. One sun-drenched afternoon, after a particularly light-hearted conversation about our favorite books, our hands brushed against each other while reaching for the same book, lingering just a heartbeat longer than necessary. Suddenly, the air was charged with anticipation. Uncertainty flickered between us, and in that heartbeat, time seemed to freeze, allowing the world around us to fade into a hazy blur. My breath quickened, and I found myself at the edge of something new, something thrilling yet terrifying. Jake. I started, but my words caught in my throat as I leaned in closer, compelled by an inexplicable urge to close the gap between us. Our eyes locked, and he leaned in, brushing his lips softly against mine. It was a tentative kiss, filled with hesitation, yet it ignited a fire within me that unfurled like the petals of a blooming flower. His lips were warm and surprisingly gentle, sending shivers down my spine as I deeply inhaled the moment. I pulled away breathless, surprised at my boldness, at the sheer emotion swirling within me. I was a woman of 60 kissing a boy of 20. How could something so wrong feel so undeniably right? Doubts